there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, today we're talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. You guys know why you are here. Today we're talking because, as you guys know, on Tuesdays, I recap a few things that Carlos King says in his Messy Monday, YouTube live that he does with Dr. Heavenly. And in this video, we need to talk about a couple of things that bothered me because Carlos King is clearly in the CYA mode. And for those of you not familiar with that term, it's called cover your own bleep. That is what this live was giving me. I've said before, you could tell, like I said, in comparison to the lives that Carlos King does with Mel and interviews that Carlos King does with Mel, he always makes it a point to say that they don't pregame, they don't talk in advance about any type of topics or things that they're going to discuss. Mel likes to just come right off the cuff, whatever you're going to ask her, so it's fresh. Nothing sounds rehearsed. Nothing sounds like it is, PR, quote-unquote, related answers. And, basically her giving her immediate, authentic reaction, right? But the difference is, you can tell in particular with this Love and Marriage Huntsville review, in particular for these first couple of episodes, Carlos King is in corporate mode. He is in corporate mode, trying to protect the show and trying to protect his job, right? Because, as you guys know, we have, of course, now the countersuit that includes OWN and potentially other people can be included in this as well, including possibly production and cast members and all of the things to speak to any type of issues, harassment, discrimination, the targeting of black women and all these things that they could be held liable for, that they could be held responsible for, right? So just wanted to put that out there. So it's like I can't take all of these reviews seriously because the other side of this too is, in a part of Carlos King doing this CYA mode, is he's not being honest, he's not being forthcoming, he's not being truthful, right? He is saying what he wants to say to have one record to make it seem that this is the truth, but it's not, right? So what has he lied about? Well, what hasn't he lied about, right? So in particular, he says that he makes it a point to make sure that Mel is always protected, right? Except for that's not the case. Mel said, as you guys know, because he's referencing, of course, his podcast event back in January with Mel, in which Mel said she didn't feel protected by Carlos, and Carlos said he makes it a point to make sure that Mel is protected. But this is not the first time Mel has said this to Carlos King to his face in an interview / live type of setting. She has mentioned this before because she has said, remember previously with all the bullying and isolation attempts, Mel was ready to walk away from the show because she didn't feel protected then, because she just didn't understand why she was getting the brunt of all of these attacks and all of this isolation, all of this gaslighting, all these things that were going below the belt, and nobody was doing anything. They were seeing how much they can up the ante to get, a viral moment, to get something messy for the show, right? So Carlos King is totally backtracking now because obviously the Revenge P is a legal case now. Obviously now OWN is being sued, so he is trying to dot all of his I's and cross all of his T's, but it's all BS. It is all BS because where are you protecting Mel? Behind the scenes? What are you doing? Because definitely what is being aired on the show is not protection in any capacity. If you're going to have other people give their opinions on what they think on this Mel and TEL drama, can we stop pushing a false narrative? Can you say that you're not educated or you're ignorant when it comes to certain topics, so therefore just putting out whatever narrative to support Martell and make Martell look like a victim is not going to be the business. It's not the move, and that's why there's so much backlash, right? Because again, if Mel was protected, this false narrative wouldn't even be out there. And if Mel was protected, real talk, Martell would not be on the show. What is Martel's storyline without Mel, you guys? All he does in every scene is complain about Mel and try to destroy her reputation, try to destroy her name because she refuses to take him back. And so, you know, you're up here trying to say all these things, but in part, the reason why Letitia's mom was fired, why you guys had to have that come to Jesus meeting with quote unquote the Core Six and all the executives in Huntsville for an emergency meeting, was because that was the first major incident where Mel really, you know, let you guys know, hey, I don't feel protected. And then there was the next lie, that Mel and TEL don't film together, you guys. Technically, they just filmed together for this past reunion that aired in January. Like, if we're going to keep it a buck, right? So, miss me with that. What happened is, this season in particular, Mel said no way because of this case. That's the only reason why you are not, quote unquote, forcing them together. But even that is a lie, because you tried to ambush Mel Super Bowl weekend, Valentine's Day weekend, you guys. Remember, myself and several other Love and Marriage Huntsville YouTubers, content creators covered this. And that was, Stormy had that Valentine's Day Lovers and Friends event, right? Mel had other Super Bowl engagements that weekend. She was supposed to host some events. She had some paid engagements and all these things. And last minute, she got a call basically saying, hey, you need to come and work and film scenes for Love and Marriage Huntsville. So she had to cancel all those plans that she had already, ready to go and booked and busy on her calendar to film something for the show, except for somebody ended up tipping her off after all of these cancellations took place and she was slated to film, that Martel was also at Stormy's event, was also at Stormy's Lovers and Friends event, which clearly is a boundary, is a line that is being crossed, because that is not a protection for Mel, because you're putting her in harm's way with somebody who is willing to put out revenge P against her and more, and basically try to gaslight her in her face and escalate things in her face and try to confront her from his perspective that she, quote unquote, had him arrested, right? That would have been the gotcha moment, the scene that Carlos King and others really want to happen, right? They really want to have that type of dramatic and viral moment, because this is not normal. Normally, Martel would be removed from the show altogether, right? He would be completely removed from the show altogether, right? And so I'm just over the lies, you guys. Just like Carlos King said immediately that he was going to upload his podcast, but I told you guys he wasn't going to do it till the episode aired, which is exactly what happened. But he did that on purpose because he wanted to, the people who had recordings and other media associated with that event, he wanted to control the narrative, and he wanted to control, at the time, the backlash of some of the other moments that took place. He didn't want that out there, right? And as you can see, they even did some funny editing, even with the Sonny and Moses stuff, because rumor has it, well, Sonny even said herself in the episode that she was getting booed left and right. Therefore, but it looked like claps were edited in from another segment to make it seem like there was mixed reviews in the crowd or whatever, when clearly that was not the case, right? Then the other thing is this, like I said, he's trying to, and then Heavenly's trying to defend it, saying, that you can choose, trying to clarify whether or not Mel and TEL filmed together. But this is all lies. Martel even put it out there in that rant, on his Instagram rant, that he was blaming production, saying production was giving him tips on what to say and what to do and to purchase flowers for Mel. So in the event that you're not filming together, why would you need to be in correspondence with production on what you need to say and do to have a quote-unquote effective scene with Mel? If your guys aren't supposed to be filming together. No. Mel set this boundary because of the arrest. Had this arrest not happened, you guys, they would have definitely continued to force Mel and TEL film scenes together and basically say, hey, well, there's nothing legal that's going on right now between the two of you that's preventing the two of you from, you know, filming together. So therefore, this should be okay, even though really this should have stopped once the custody battle took place. You know, once all of the revelations was coming out of the treatment of the children, that should have been when Mel and TEL, really, they shouldn't have been filmed together once the divorce was announced, right? Once they agreed that this was over. But knowing Carlos King, at least he was not going to just let that happen. So, and Carlos King speaking, he should have ended this the moment the custody battle happened. Right? The moment the custody battle happened, the moment everything came to light before the revenge pee, because we were already down the wrong road. Right? And so then it's funny because there is also this comparison of Mel to Mariah, which I've said a million times, but I feel like it's a messy way that they're going about it, because obviously Dr. Heavenly and Carlos King at one point in time couldn't stand Mariah and did their due diligence to try to basically tarnish her name. Dr. Heavenly, of course, was a part of the crew that was trying to get Mariah, you know, fired from the show. As you know, she is the creator of Love and Marriage. Love and Marriage Huntsville's not. No, she is the creator of Married to Medicine, you guys. And what happened was she was getting a producer credit. However, she was not being acknowledged as the creator, and they did spin-offs behind her back in LA and in Houston. And Houston, I believe, was only in one season. LA was a couple of seasons. However, they used Dr. Heavenly to like anchor these other spin-offs, and Mariah's name was nowhere to be found on the credits. So that was in part why she sued. And then the other part was that she was not given the original amount of money that she was supposed to get as somebody who created this show, created this franchise. So she's getting that. She got that money. She got her proper executive producer credit and all these things for this show. So she's still getting a check on their show, even though she's no longer on the show, because this is her show. And I find it interesting that they want to pick and choose when they want to give Melody Cherie that type of level of credit, that type of level of acknowledgement, and it only seems to happen when the show is in chaos, when the show is in full backlash mode, and it's at the worst it's ever been, with now a lawsuit involved against a reality show, right? That's actually coming from the bloggers. And then this other lie that Carlos King wanted to put out there was the Kiki situation with the bloggers, right? And he tries to make it seem like, you know, he doesn't have people talk to bloggers, but we know all of these reality stars are cool with the bloggers. Dr. Heavenly is cool with Funky Dineva. They used to do messy lives and stuff together. She's had him on the show. Funky Dineva was cool with Quad. He was cool with people from Real Housewives of Atlanta and has been on the show. So this notion, I don't know why this false narrative is trying to be put out there, especially in regards to the black reality TV shows, that they have zero relationships with bloggers. That is 150% lie. There is several black reality stars in particular who personally have close relationships with certain YouTubers and bloggers that they feel is going to put out a positive narrative about them, that they feel is going to promote them on their platform. So therefore, they'll, you know, either send them kudos, but some go as far to send, you know, PR packages to them, to send free products to them to talk about on their channels, right? So this notion that these reality TV people don't tell anything personal to the bloggers or have never said anything that is, you know, behind the scenes or production stuff, it is bogus, right? It's absolutely and utterly bogus, because we know that's not true. The difference is, other bloggers have the wherewithal not to put that information out there, right? Or usually that information doesn't come out there until long after the show is aired, or long after the person's contract with that particular network is over. Then you'll hear about the behind the scenes things that they don't want you to talk about immediately while the show is filming or the show is airing, right? Because even now, what they'll talk about is, oh, you didn't see this scene, but they won't talk about what actually went into that scene, right? And it's funny because technically Martell did this. technically Martel pulled a Kiki. He's talked to bloggers before, and he exposed Carlos King and production just a few months ago in his rant, saying that the show was fake and that they were all actors. And specifically talked about that scene in the season finale of last season where he was bringing Mel flowers to have the conversation. That is totally discussed. That's totally like similar to what Kiki was doing in terms of discussing what was taking place. Now, this is after the episode aired, of course, but that's still exposing production. That's still ruining the integrity of your show. So why wasn't Martel fired? Like Dr. Heavenly is pushing, well, really, this is Carlos King pushing, for, you know, Kiki to be fired. Why is it okay for Martel to do all these things and it's not okay for Kiki? Right? Like I'm just trying to figure out like why there's this double standard and why you guys continue to be harsher on black women. Here's the thing. I have kept it a buck. Like, I've liked Kiki, and I felt though she was doing too much. Like that's an honest opinion, right? I felt she was doing too much. I felt she should have came on with the plan to get along with everyone regardless, get to know everyone regardless, not just pigeonhole herself to just only be Mel's writer, Mel's supporter, and just be anti-family. Really try to, you know, have balance so that way you have multiple people to film with in the event. As we know, you're going to fall out with somebody, right? And we already knew there was tension with your cousin Letitia, right? But you played this all wrong and just completely hatching to Mel, but then trying to go behind her back with bloggers isn't going to work. And then trying to blame your mom, who doesn't know any of this stuff, you know, it isn't going to work either. You got to own it and take accountability, right? But here's the thing. These conversations shouldn't have even happened to begin with, right? Usually these conversations, when people say that they're frustrated or they're upset or whatever, it's usually months after filming and when the episodes are starting to air and they're seeing what the rest of the cast is saying about them in confessionals. And then that's when you will see these interviews pop up with bloggers and they will give their side of things and say basically they didn't see it for them and they didn't like what they heard on the episode and they thought them and so were cool until they saw that messy confessional, which is what tends to happen. So again, I am just tired, you guys, of the lies. You know, can you just keep it a buck? I know you're desperately trying to save this show because the ratings are in the toilet and this lawsuit is happening, but can we stop lying? Because we have the receipts, we have the interviews, we have the lives where Mel is telling you to your face that she doesn't feel protected. We have receipts of Martel saying multiple times that the show is fake, the show is acting, producer tells me to do this. We have a live of Marceau saying that they do reenactments on the show, you know, which would basically say, hey, this is not, you know, a live reaction to something. These are pre-planned scenes, pre-planned setup of what we're going to say to quote unquote push a certain storyline, push a certain narrative on camera, right? So I am just over it, you guys, and this is why it's all about accountability, hypocrisy, being called out, and all these things, because, you know, who else is going to do it, right? Who else is going to do it and really hold people's feet to the fire and say, no, you can't put out this false information and get away with it? So there's that. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.